My name is Dantes Akram. I'm a 23-year-old entrepreneur from Cleveland, Ohio. Father, hustler, 2-time six-figure business owner, and as well as a 7-figure business owner. I own the #1 clothing brand server in the world, Limitless Investments. Come check us out. Yo, what up? It's your boy, The Real Tez. Welcome back to another episode of Tez Talks. In this episode, we're going to get real personal. It's going to get real deep and kind of give you guys a little bit more about my identity, my past, my history, and how I got to where I am, and things that I, cherish deeply for me to get me to where I am now. So with all of that being said, make sure you guys watch it all the way until the end. Make sure you guys leave a subscribe, a like, and a comment down below if you guys liked it, or if you have questions. I'm engaging with every single person in the comments, so make sure you guys leave a comment down below. But without further ado, it's time to jump into this. Let's get it.
All right, Ted, we've seen, your princess and on social media and stuff, your daughter. Tell us about how that was early on, through the journey, and how is it now for you?
Man, having a kid at 18 is like, I don't know, it was a blessing in disguise, but in the moment, that was like a power blow straight to the stomach. You know what I'm saying? Like, I never thought I would have had a kid that young, and for me, my dad had a kid at 15. My mom had her first kid at 19. So for me, I was like, when I knew those things younger, I was like, I'm not going to be that one that get caught off guard like that, you know what I'm saying? And, I always, carried myself as such, and then, situations happen. But, for me, I think my daughter was that glimpse of what I needed in the moment of, lost and being lost and needing some type of direction or guidance. And although it was like one of the most tragic things I could think of at that young age that happened to me, it was one of the biggest blessings that could have ever happened to me. So it empowered me to be a better man. It made me smarter. It made me more, it made me like, I wouldn't know exactly how to say it. It made me want to actually do something and be something in life, because I now have another plate on the table that needs food.
Right,
so it was everything's bigger than me now. You know what I mean? If I die, I have to make sure something's there, and I feel like a lot of people don't have responsibility. So when you actually have some real type of responsibility, it's a lot easier for you to want to go hustle. A lot of people get lazy real easy, and I'm not one of those people. Like every day I wake up, I'm like, my daughter got to eat. So, when I'm lazy, I'm tired, I feel sick. We got to keep pushing, man. We got to keep grinding.
Mm-hmm. So she became one of probably your biggest why now.
Absolutely. #1. People say, family they why and money or riches, and nah, bro. When you have a kid, everything, all of those is cleared off. It's this person, this child, this being right here. This is me right here. That's my bloodline. So I got to make sure I do everything in my power to make sure she didn't grow up the way that I did.
Yeah. You said your pops was 15?
Yeah, 15 when
19?
Yep.
So how, I'm sure they struggled, early on when they had you.
Mm-hmm.
Were they good examples of what it was to be a parent, or how did you learn,
I think I had, my grandparents too. On top of that, my mom was, I grew up in a single mom household, and, certain weekends I would go to my dad's house until I got a little bit older. Things start happening between the relationship, but, I'm happy that we've been able to, gather that relationship and mend it and things like that, because it's important. As a young man and as men, we need our fathers. So I think for me, being able to rekindle the relationship has been something important for me, because, I have kids and I don't want to ever lose that relationship with them. So I can understand, he messed up and things like that. Situations happen. But I think for my mom, she definitely showed me what it's like to be a strong-willed parent. But, I also needed that other side of things, which is why I had my grandparents. So, a lot of times my grandparents were my parents as well. I will grow up with them. Literally, my mom worked night shifts at the hospital. So for a lot of people out there, if your mom ever worked in a night shift, she's not coming home until early in the morning. And 9 times out of 10 in the morning time, you about to go to school, or you about to go, go outside or go chill with your grandparents. So for me, I had my grandparents, and then also I had my uncles who had kids that were like dads to me. So I think it takes a village to build up a child. And I think it's extremely important for people to understand that, because without my village, I wouldn't be who I am. I'm strong on certain morals. I'm strong on certain values. And as a man, I understand what it's like to not have that guidance, but also look at it from a standpoint of like, okay, although they weren't my father, they still did their part in my life. And I take everything into consideration when I look at, how I became who I am. But at the end of the day, they had kids separately at 15 and 19. So my older brother and my older sister were born, and then they had me, I think I was like 4 years older. So my mom was 23, my dad was 19. So, that's when I was born.
Okay. And them having you young, I know it was hard for them. So how did they, you know what I'm saying, accept the fact that you were also having a kid young?
Man, my
You know,
mom.
I'm sure that, you know what I'm saying, they want you to go through the same hard times they
Right.
did, you know what I'm saying? So,
Facts. I mean, my mom was really upset. It was like a smack in the face for her because she wanted me to go to college. She wanted me to do all these things, and I wanted to do the same things as well. I had dreams. What I'm saying, and I thought, when I had a kid, that I thought, everything was over. I thought my whole life was over. I had people in high school telling me like, bro, like even right now, like I get chills talking about it, like seriously, because it's like, what I'm saying, thinking back to that time, like, yo, really being 18 and having a kid, that shit was like, I didn't even graduate high school. Like finding out a girl was pregnant, I'm like, yo, that was like one of the biggest nightmares I could have had.
it's like you hear about it, but you'll never think it'll be you.
You would never think it's you, and then you never know what that's like. So like, if y'all ever felt like you ever got punched in the stomach and got winded, like that's exactly what it felt like when I found out. And I talked about my story before, but I felt like I couldn't really share it with social media because I felt like when I did, and at the time I did portray it in a way where it was more negative. So at the time I was hurt, you know what I mean, and hurt people. So I told my story by lashing out on social media, and at the time I wasn't huge, but I was big enough to where there were people that looked at me like, yo, you can't be doing stuff like that. You're becoming somebody. And this was before I became who I am. But, now, I have my own series and TED Talks, and I like to be honest about things. But now I can self-reflect. I didn't have the solid way of having a kid at 18. And the reason I even want to share my story now is because, not to lash out or bash out on her. It's a self-reflection. This is me. This is who I am. And you can either accept me or you can not. Like, that's just what it is. But this is how I became a dad. And now I can look back and say, look, I became a dad at 18, then I became a millionaire at 23. Crazy. There was a sequence of things. I went from delivering do-rags. I went from getting kicked out of my house. I went from working factory jobs. I went from going and working sales in Sam's Club and people laughing at me, my friends pulling up, seeing me with their parents. Oh, he ain't gonna do nothing in life. I went to, working another factory job, then selling cars. Then after selling cars, delivering my do-rags and then taking it serious as a business, then turning that to a 6-figure business, launch another 6-figure business, launch my first 7-figure business, all in the course of 4 years. But I did it while I had a kid. Yeah. And there's always people that say, oh, you're not going to be anything because this. Like, you can make excuses or you can get your ass up and you can go make it happen. So, that was my story. And I felt like, it was important for me to come on TED Talks because I want this to be an honest series of really who I am and my perspectives and my views on things. And, like I said, I got a lot of lashback when I told this story. But again, it came out negative, and I wanted to make sure I personally came out and said that it was a negative way, but it is okay for me to share my story because at the end of the day, I shouldn't have to hide who I am to, get acceptance from somebody else. Because if you live by their acceptance, you're going to die by their refusal, right? And I think for me, it's like, I don't care no more. I'm at that point, my daughter good, I'm good, I'm living, I'm breathing, I got a family that love me. At the end of the day, I just do what I got to do for them.
All right, so who would you become after you had a baby, bro?
Man.
Like, what identity, that you take on?
I think for me, I turned into a person who was resilient. After I found out I had a kid, I'm like, man, I'm a superhero dad. You know what I mean? And for me, it was kind of like I have to work harder than any other person I've ever seen. Uncle, dad, I don't care who you are. Like, I don't care what talents you have. I don't care where you came from, how much money your family got. I got to work harder than you, no matter what. And it wasn't because I was in competition with anybody. It was the fact that I knew that this little baby that I had picked up on January 8th, that I knew for a fact that was me. And I wanted her to have a better life than me, a better situation. I wanted to have better cars. I wanted her to go to the best schools and things like that. I think for me, it was just more so like I didn't have those things. I went to homeschool a couple years out of my life. I lived in Egypt from 8 to 12, which is something we'll talk about in the next episode. My mom wasn't rich or anything like that. And she definitely did her thing, to be a single mom, raising 3 kids, one household. She did her fucking thing, yo. Like, for real, I commend her for real because she's the GOAT. But that was my reason why, I want her to have a better lifestyle than I did, no matter where I came from. I want her to be 10 times better than me. And that's it. Because I know if she's better than me, she can continue my last name, and my son and my future children, they can continue it. But it's about how I view that perspective. Am I going to be lazy parent? Am I going to be an average parent? Am I going to show up here and there? Or am I going to be that dad that's like, yo, that's my dad. I want her to grow up at 18, 19, 14, 15, recitals, dances and proms. And I want her to be like, this is my best friend right here. And that's one of my biggest dreams.
So each of those points, bro, from you know what I'm saying, working, being a salesman, and you know what I'm saying, struggling, all the things you went through, all the speed bumps you went through, can you wholeheartedly say that each of those points were necessary?
Absolutely. I think I learned different things at different points. You know, one thing that I realize is that people are going to come into your life and then people are going to go, right? And there's certain people that come into your life for a reason. You're supposed to learn a specific lesson from that person. It's kind of like a movie, you know what I mean? There's different characters that come in and out of that main character's life, and they learn these different points. And I feel like it's the same exact thing. You know, God doesn't bring somebody into your life for no reason. You know what I mean? It's either a lesson on a positive end or a lesson on a negative end.
Same with a situation. He ain't gonna
Exactly.
bring you a situation for no reason.
Exactly. And he's never going to give you something that you can't handle unless it's your time to go, right? And for me, it was like I needed every single part of my life, because if without sales, without learning how to negotiate in car sales, I would never be a great salesman now.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
It's
without
crazy to look back on, bro.
crazy to look back. And then, you know, working at a factory, waking up early mornings and then spending 40, 50, 60 hours in a week on a job in a factory. It showed me like the processes of how a factory runs. You got assembly lines, you got shipping, you got all of these different components. So I learned systems early. You got logistics, you got to understand paperwork, you got to understand this person is in this role and this person in this role. Everybody has to play their role in order for this vehicle to keep moving. So for me, I learned all of those things young. And, you know, people say, you know, you wise and things like that. I just feel like it's just experience. You know what I mean? I've experienced a lot of things at a younger age. You know, having a kid definitely snaps you out of it depending on who you are. You know, I think it only amplifies who you already are. So if you ain't shit and you have a kid, you're going to continue to not be shit. But if you somebody and you didn't really know yourself, having a kid might be the thing that wakes you up. And now I know who I am. I can find my identity now. I can kind of see the road that I'm trying to go down. So I didn't know I was going to get here, you know, and especially in the time frame that I got here, but I knew I was going to be something. I knew I was going to be somebody. So
In those struggles, did you ever think this could be for this? You know what I'm saying? I'm going through this right now for 10 years from now, 5 years from now.
I've always
I
been
keep saying, I'm thinking like 10 years. This
Yeah.
was the other day.
Yeah.
This was not too long ago. I keep saying 5 years. This was the other day.
It feels like yesterday. Like for me, 4 years ago. That's 4 years ago. You know what I'm saying? And for me, 4 years ago, man, I would grind so hard because I got obsessed with the process. Like I was like, bro, there's no way. You know, once I started,
How do you get obsessed with such a hard process?
I feel like it got to be in you. Like I think I was just born with it, you know. And maybe I think sometimes there's a seed planted, and then you're waiting for one thing to uproot that seed and actually plant, like for the plant to actually grow up out of the soil. And I think having a kid was that moment. Like, all right, sprouted right out of the ground, and now you know the tree builds or whatever you want to say built. But I think I personally became obsessed with everything. Like I wanted to learn as much as possible. I wanted to be around the best of the best. I wanted to be the best of the best, because I always grew up, you know, I wasn't the best in basketball. I wasn't the best at singing, dancing, none of that stuff. So I always told myself as a kid, I don't have no talents. You know what I mean? Like I genuinely used to look at myself like that. Like, you have no talents. But what that told me was like, I never took that like to heart. It was like, this is how God made me. But at the end of the day, I do have more heart. I do work harder than other people. You see, when you have a lot of talent and you fail to work hard, then that's not going to do nothing for you in life. So for me, I was like, you know what, although I don't have no talent, although I'm not the best, I don't have the best bounce, I'm not the fastest, I don't have the shiftiest handle or the best shot, that's cool. But I do want to work harder than everybody out there, regardless of how good they are. I want to guard the best player. I want to make sure that I'm in the highest ranked classes, even if I feel stupid. And then if it's too hard and it's too difficult, then okay, I'll downgrade. You got to understand and be real with yourself. But I became obsessed with the process. And for me, it was like, I would rather be obsessed with that and fail over and over and learn all these different lessons than to be okay with being average, because there's no way I'm going to be average.
All right. In that span of 3-4 years, when did you go from, damn, I got a kid, what I'm going to do, till I got to get on this shit? You know what I'm saying? This is for a reason. You know what I'm saying? I'm a hustler. I'm going to go get this shit.
As soon as she was born. You know, the crazy thing is my daughter was born January 8th. My mom was born January 9th. I'm born January 10th. Yeah, so it was meant by God for it to happen that way. And one thing that I can say is that I take full responsibility for it, because there's going to be people out here that's like, okay, she did that, but you were still not having sexual protection. I mean, yeah, I was. And this is why I said I would never take that back. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, as much as I want to blame her, I also have to blame me.
Right.
Because I should have protected myself, because my mom told me I should have protected myself, and this is the consequences. So, you know, some of us, we deal with consequences, or we deal with struggles, and then we let it impact our emotions over a period of time. Me, I just decided, man, and even though like I haven't fully 1,000% healed from it, I still sometimes blame her. I still sometimes like feel like it's bottled up in me, but I'm learning. You know what I mean? Like, that's the most important part. As long as you're trying to heal from a situation, that's all that really matters. But I just feel like it was a necessary situation, and like I said, this is what God wanted me to have, like wanted to have happen to me, and I just couldn't go back and change it. You know what I mean? Like, to think about the lifestyle that I'm living, the money that I make, and the way that she said, you know, having a custodial account, she has more money than a lot of people in their 20s right now at the age of 4. So that's by no mistake. You know what I mean? This is why it happened. She's going to be even better than me, because I'm going to teach her all the different things in a better way than I learned.
That's what it's about, man.
Facts.
So does a consequence always have to be negative? Speak on that a little bit.
Nah.
Your consequence brought you this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Brought you where we sitting at right now.
Facts.
Talk about that a little bit.
No, I don't think negative consequences always have to be negative. I always think that, you know, a consequence is how you view it and your reaction to it. So if you don't react in a way where it's going to be something positive, then yes, it will for sure be negative. But if you look at it like, man, this just happened, how can I not do this again? And then how can I pull myself out of this situation? As long as you have that mentality, you're going to be just fine throughout life. You don't have to focus on being rich. You don't have to be focused on driving the best car, having the coldest woman in the world. You don't need none of that. You just need a strong mentality that will be able to dig you out of the toughest times that you'll ever deal with in your life. And I'm not saying that was my lowest of lowest points, because I'm only 23. You know what I mean? I don't know how low I'm going to get in my life. You know what I mean? I pray to God that he protects me and shields me and, you know, strengthens me. So when I do go to that time, I can always remind myself of who I am. This is my identity. This is what I am built for. This is why I was born. And, you know, for me, I feel like, you know, certain situations, they're supposed to happen, and consequences is based off of how you look at it. So I think, you know, they can be positive and negative.
What can you say to people who, wait, first let me ask, you said you were born with, you know what I'm saying, that hustler mentality, so it was a little simpler for you to look at the situation, like, it was simpler for you to commit to the process, you know what I'm saying, because you was born with that mentality. Do you have to be born with it, or can you mold yourself into, you know what I'm saying, that type of mentality? Or can you teach yourself, you know what I'm saying, how to commit and how to look at the process like that?
I think you can learn in all ways. You know what I mean? I feel like you can be born with it. You know, some people are just born naturally with it. But I also think you can learn it over time. You know, I think parents try to instill it as much as they can. And I think, again, that's why having a father figure is important, to instill certain values into a kid and to really push them to try to be the best that they can be. You know what I mean? That's something that, you know, I always think about with my daughters. She wants to do gymnastics, right? And I'm like, you know, her mom asked me, you know, I don't know, are you cool with us doing gymnastics? I said, absolutely. Just know I'm going to be her number one fan, and I'm her coach, and I'm everything. I'm in her corner. You know what I'm saying? And that's just the reality of it. It ain't going to ever change until I'm in the ground 6 feet under. So for me, it's like, you can always look at it from multiple perspectives. You can look at it, okay, God gave it to me, or you can look at it from the environment changed me to be this way, because I think environment plays a huge part in who you become. You know, what you see, what you're living in can definitely dictate who you become. And this is why, you know, the prison system is the way it is, and this is why a lot of African Americans and black people, this is the exact reason of why we are the way we are, because of our environment. And it's set up in a way to where you can't make it out. This is what your kid gonna go through and their kid's gonna go through, until one person becomes that person that is supposed to break that line and become that person that changes everything for your family tree. And I just felt like I was that person. So, you know, I ain't gonna never take it for granted. I'm always praying and thank God every single day. But, you know, somewhere in your heart, you gotta realize I'm that person. It's the inner God in you. You know, there's a little voice that talks to you whenever you're conscious, or whenever you're anxious or stressed out or happy. There's a little voice that talks to you. That's the inner God in you. and you have to listen to it sometimes, and you got to listen to your intuition the same way mothers have it. We have it as men as well. You know what I mean? We know we're not supposed to be doing certain things. Listen to your inner conscience and listen to your inner God.
Bro, the reason I think that you are great is because you're great at getting back to your equilibrium. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
Emotion may rise over here because something happened, and then it may rise over here because something happened. But you always come back to ground level. You know what I'm saying? You always come back to equilibrium.
Yeah.
And you're always able to, like we talked about, not react out of emotion and stuff like that, because you're equal-headed. You're at your equilibrium. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I just want to share that with you, bro.
I appreciate it. I think it's important for me to try to find that median grind, that ground. I think you never want to get too high off your highs, nor do you want to get too low off your lows. So I try to keep that medium. But as humans, it happens. You know what I'm saying? There's certain moments, I might hit a certain amount of money in a day and I'm heightened up. And then there's going to be a moment where I'm low as fuck. You know what I mean? But I just got to remember, that median is, hey, you have a family that loves you. You have another 24 hours of life. You have more work to do. There's a better version of you out there. You got to go get it.
So that's what you would recommend people focus on.
Yep.
Staying at that equilibrium.
Stay in the middle.
Happy, you know what I'm saying? But no, what I like to say is you only know you happy because you've been sad before.
Exactly.
Because you know what sadness feel like. And you only know what sadness feel like because you've been happy before, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I think that's important. And that's a great quote. You know what I'm saying? Like, you never truly know what happiness is until you've been down bad.
Yeah, like Nipsey said, if you see us up, it's because we've been down.
Yeah.
You know
that's the reality of it. And some people grow up in survival mode. You know what I'm saying? And when you start venturing out from survival mode, you start transforming into another person, a different identity, and you take on this new character. And I think it's important for everybody to start looking at it from that perspective. Like, this is not who I am in this specific moment. This is just what the environment and the situation is creating out of me. But who am I really? Dig deeper.
That is a gem, bro.
Gotta dig deeper, man. All right, y'all. So, again, I appreciate y'all watching this entire video through. Again, it got very personal. There were certain questions and answers and, perspectives that y'all may not have known or stories you may not have heard about me. And now you know what I mean? This is the real Tez. And this is why I called my Instagram that. And this is why I branded myself that way. This is the real me. You know what I mean? And you can accept me or you can not. You can like or you can dislike. It's cool, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, I'm at peace with who I am. I'm in love with myself. So, again, make sure you guys leave a like, leave a subscribe. What was the most interesting part about this video? Was there anything that caught your attention or something that made you say, oh my God, let me know in the comments. I'm definitely interested in reading all of it and responding to all of them as well. But again, if you guys could leave a subscribe, leave a like, share it with somebody who needed to hear some of these things, because again, there's a lot of powerful lessons in this one video. So again, it's been your boy Tez. Again, make sure you guys sign up with our sponsor, Limitless Investments. It's the #1 clothing brand server in the world. Make sure you guys click that link down below, and I'll see you guys in the next episode of Tez Talks. Peace out.